weekend, and it was amazing. And so Jack and I, my husband, is here co-hosting with me today. And I, of course, am your host, Jhael Hakimian. And we are just going to give you a quick recap of the most amazing weekend at the Good Soil Forum in Dallas in 10 minutes or less. So this started Thursday night, went all day Friday, all day Saturday. I had the privilege of closing out the show, closing down the house on Saturday afternoon with a wonderful panel on AI for the harvest. But leading up to that panel were the most amazing, accomplished speakers from the business world. And all of the attendees were so excited to be there, so willing and able to talk and share knowledge and receive from each other, and really excited to connect and talk about what future collaborations should look like. And so that was great. This was a co-sponsored event by Wells Fargo and Stand Together, which is, if you don't know, Stand Together is the organization that I work for when I am not here talking to you guys and doing Christian counseling. And Stand Together, you guys, really did a great job of showing up. I was so happy to be part of that team. There was quite a few of us that went there. Four of us were moderators for different panels. And then there was a whole team just supporting. We have provided a library for people to come and get resources for business entrepreneurs. And we were just talking about PBM, which is principle-based management. And then we were just connecting and listening and learning from, like I said, some of the most accomplished people in various business industries. Jack, how did you like the weekend? Because you and I barely saw each other because we were both so busy and enjoying ourselves and just kind of crossing paths all weekend.
Well, I enjoyed it. I was just amazed how much people wanted to collaborate and network. There was such eagerness. This was like the movers and shakers of the Black and brown community. And, there was African Americans, there was Black Latin Americans, there was people from Africa. I got a chance to have conversations, a lot of people from the South and some of the key urban cities. And again, every time I was eating somewhere or just hanging out, people were literally coming up to me and wanting to find out more about what I did and network. We were exchanging digital cards. And I thought the workshops and the conversations were so broad and relevant. Meaning,
I was thinking timely. Really, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, absolutely.
So it was definitely dealing with all aspects of business, but and with people who've been there and done that, and especially the conversations on AI. And I know that the conversation that you moderated and hosted was phenomenal. Soon as I was engaging people, they were just talking about what an incredible job your wife did, and I was so proud of you. So it was just great. I particularly liked one of the sessions that was dealing with business development and the kind of the stages that businesses have to go through, and I thought that was really a blessing. What was some of the I know that you were sending me WhatsApp messages of like quotes and things, and what was some of the things that really stuck out to you?
Well, first off, thank you for saying that people were saying I did a good job. I think it's really because I had two panelists that were so knowledgeable about AI. So Cynthia Neville's so knowledgeable. She's got this great program called Start, Pivot, Grow for businesses and business development. And she talked about how she was one of those old schoolers that was afraid of AI, didn't want to touch it. And through a need, tried it one time for the sake of expediency and realized what a great tool it could be. And then there's Cliff Worley, who works for KPOR Capital over in Silicon Valley. And man, if you guys have a chance to go look at cliffnotes.ai and follow him if you're interested in how you can use AI and what AI tools are out there besides ChatGPT. Cliff is so knowledgeable. They made it so easy and fun. I barely had to do anything up there. I was listening and I was laughing, and the questions that came at them and the way they handled them and gave them such information really made it enjoyable. It was a wonderful way to end the weekend. Outside of that, the the conversation that I got to sit in on in the very beginning on Friday morning, it was a small group with TD Jakes and Mr. Clifton from Gallup. That was a great conversation, talking about where we should be headed as a country because of the advantages we have in terms of our workforce, our knowledge base, and the developments in AI, and how probably 80% of AI advancement is coming out of our country, and how we should make sure we take hold of that. Secondly, was a conversation with Michaela Ulmer, who is the young lady who started Me and the Bees. It's a lemonade brand that you guys see in stores. She's only 19. She started Me and the Bees when she was 4. And she did this because she was exposed to entrepreneurship through a nonprofit called Lemonade Day. And Lemonade Day is a catalyst with Stand Together. And they take young people and teach them about entrepreneurship through the lemonade stand. And so Michaela is running her business. It is a multi-million-dollar business. You guys may have seen her on Shark Tank. You guys may have heard a few years ago she signed an $11 million deal with, I believe it was Whole Foods. And since then, she's not only running her company, but she's also a full-time student at Emory, I believe, maintaining a 4.0 GPA. And she just has more and more aspirations, but she was very inspirational. They were talking about businesses and entrepreneurs and risk, and how entrepreneurs cannot be risk averse, and they need to understand the risk of failure also means the risk of success. And I love that I learned in my tenure at Stand Together, we don't even call it failure over here. We call it lessons learned. And Michaela really doubled down, and then she took a moment in the conversation to turn and say, and all of the young people in the audience, she said, we more than anybody should be embracing this and understand, because we're younger, we have more time to take more risk and learn more from the mistakes. And she encouraged them in there to take the risk for this and understand that it's okay to learn through the risk you take. Every risk does not have to result in a monetary payoff. It could be a lesson learned, setting you up for with knowledge for greater success in the future. That was the most inspiring thing. She was a joy. We talked later on a couple times, and her mother, who I can't wait to have her as a guest on the podcast, her mother and I talked about what it took for Michaela's parents to, number one, recognize very early on her gifting and nurture it in the most age appropriate way that wasn't limiting, but also not like pushing her into the spotlight, but really walking through and coming alongside this wonderful, amazing girl as a parent, because moms and dads have such a big part to play in how kids turn out. And so she and I agreed that we would have a further conversation about that, as she is now in charge of marketing for Me and the Bees, and it is still a family-run business.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was just amazed by the level of growth that a lot of these companies have experienced. I mean, it was great, listening to the conversation with the founder of Slutty Vegan,
Yeah.
and Pinky Hayes,
Yeah.
and just she was talking about some of the challenges that she's faced, throughout the years of building that company. Sometimes being the only person of color in the room.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the fact that she emphasized the responsibility she feels to basically not fail. I felt like that was a huge burden, but the responsibility she felt to not fail as a successful entrepreneur. I mean, I think she talked about her between her and her husband, their net worth is about $300 million. But the fact that she feels the responsibility called to pave the way for so many people of color in America. And I thought that was just really inspirational. She started crying up on the stage and talking about the fact that the encouragement she was receiving from the crowd and from the people was really therapeutic almost. And but just seeing her journey and how she kind of took something that she loved, which is burgers, and tied it to a personal need to then be able to grow a company that basically meets other people's needs. And I heard a lot of that, like, how's your business solving your own problems, let alone the
Yes.
problems of other people? So I think there was a
Yes.
strong kind of personal approach to the future of your business and finding
Yes.
niche markets.
Yes, Tabitha Brown said the same thing. That was a great talk. She is funny and insightful. And Tabitha Brown said that her business came out of her own personal need. She had a problem, nobody was solving it for her, and so she had to figure out how to solve it for herself. And then she said, well, maybe other people would want to solve it. Charles D. King, who opened up the first morning on Thursday morning, I mean, I wish I could tell you all the nuggets he gave, but him talking about building relationships before you need them.
Yeah.
And how he was intentional on investing in relationships. And it was so great. And that's the one thing I've taken away. I think I've started a lot of great relationships from that weekend at Good Soul Forum. And I've strengthened relationships with individuals that maybe I've come across, I've worked with, either through business. We ran into one individual, Jack, that you and I have known from back in our time in California in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
He was there too. We're like, man, that brother's everywhere.
Yeah.
And so
Urban
I
Youth
think
Workers Institute. Yeah.
Yeah, he used to be with the Urban Youth Workers Institute. Exactly. And so just the strengthening of relationships, and that really spoke to me and told me that you and I are definitely on the right track, because we've talked about how we are focusing on choosing our friends now.
Oh yeah.
Instead of letting them choose us, and investing in them, not because they have something we need or want in the moment, but because they seem like like-hearted, like-minded people of high value that we want to learn from just along the way through conversations, not necessarily take anything like money or connections, but just learning about how they opt from watching and being with them. And if an opportunity comes for us to bless them or them to bless us or us to collaborate with them, then so be it. But the quality of the friendship is reward enough. And then all of the other things that come out of it is added extra. With that, I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. Hey, thanks for anyone that tuned in right now. Thanks for anyone that clicked on this. And look for more from me, Jhael Hakimian. Lord bless you.
See you guys.